This is Nan McKay, and I would like to introduce you today to Christi Corradi. Christi is an intuitive artist who provides intuitive wisdom drawing sessions where she guides clients to access the creative part of their brain to uncover and break through what might have been holding them back from the life that they would love to live, to master the art of their life. She does the drawing, you get the insights. Christi has discovered a system to create miracles in your own life and shares the 7 steps with people in her coursework. I have experienced this with Christi myself, and I certainly would recommend connecting with her. So welcome, Christi.
Oh, thank you. It's so much of a privilege to be with you.
So Christi, how did you get into the miracle business?
Well, actually, I started creating miracles when I was young. And my dad used to say, in fact, it's on my wedding video, Christi always was way out in left field, but came up smelling like roses. And I was just an explorer. And therefore, I created miracles in my life. And especially when I got into my teens, I traveled a lot into my young adulthood. I created a nonprofit organization. I started taking kids traveling to foreign countries. I mean, I just made life-changing events in people's lives, as well as, manifesting a perfect husband that we will have our 35th wedding anniversary in June. And we have traveled the world without debt. And we have adopted our son from Guatemala. And we have our most recent one that was really the discovery of the miracle manifesting was we wanted to create a unit, a granny unit, an apartment in our backyard for our son and his new wife. And so it felt like a divine idea. And so we said, okay, let's move forward and do it. Where are we going to get the money? Well, there's a long journey process around this. However, what ended up happening, my husband first doubting, oh no, here we go. Where are we going to get the money? Where are we going to get the money? And I said, honey, we always pull through and things always work in our gain, our personal gain. And so we're going along, we get the architect drawings, we get a contractor, and then all of a sudden, my husband comes home and he says, my brother called me today. And I said, well, yeah, what did he have to say? He said, have you ever felt like you won the lotto? Yes. And it turned out that somewhere out of the blue, now we can guess, this is 5 years after their parents passed away. We had all of our inheritance, all of our whatevers from that 5 years ago. This came in from Prudential, but it had no name of whose it was, but to who it was to my husband and his brother. And the money when we split that was was twice as much as what we needed to create that granny unit, that apartment in the back of our yard. And so I went, I do this all the time. Why can't I do it on demand? Why can't I do it in every aspect of my life? And so I actually went to one of my mentors and I said, I want to find this out. And so she did some work with me and guided me through discovering 7 steps to creating miracles. And I did that for myself. And then one of my good friends said, you need to bring that to the world. And so then I started my course called the Miracle Manifesting Course. I also do symposiums occasionally called Miracle Money Manifesting, and it's changing people's lives.
Interesting. Now, going back, was it a life insurance policy? Was it something from Prudential? How did that happen?
We don't know.
Never did find out?
Never did find out. Even asked the Prudential people and they said, we don't know. It's just yours.
Wow.
Now, here's something to think about. What if it was from my in-laws, from my husband's parents? They died 5 years ago. It's hanging out there. It's there. And it wasn't until we activated, bring me this, let me do this. This is a divine idea. This is, meant to be. I have the passion for it. I have, and the 7 steps, which are creating a vision, adding sparkle, look at where you're stuck. You are the divine in expression, and enthusiasm, and do it, and it's like, I've been doing that my whole life, but now it was bigger, right? It was bigger, and it was time to discover that. And so out of the blue comes this money that's been probably hanging out there for 5 years. If it came from them, we don't know. We even asked and tried to search no, it came out of the blue.
Well, I wonder why most of us, why can't we create miracles in our lives?
Because we live by status quo thinking. We live by thinking you've got to work hard to make your money. You've got to be one of those special few. Do you know how many people think that that's them, not me? And like they're the lucky ones? They are the victim. Being a victim is a huge reason why people don't succeed in life and they don't create miracles in their lives. Because when you are a victim, first of all, you blame others, and you cannot change anything from that victim level. You have to move into the empowerment level in order to now begin creating those miracles in your life.
So is it about mindset?
People use that word mindset, yes. But in my work, I always put the little power to vision, power to sparkle, power to, because it's deeper than just mindset. So if it was mindset, I would say it's mindset times 2. Now, when The Secret came out, everybody started putting vision boards up on their wall, right? And they sat back and waited for things to happen. And people got discouraged and said, oh, this law of attraction stuff doesn't work, because the law of attraction is actually a secondary law. The primary law, and to speak to what we're talking about right now, is the law of vibration. You must feel it, you must act it, you must be it. My mentor says you cannot get to your dream, you must come from your dream. You have to put on the suit of the person that you are dreaming of becoming. And most people just sat there and looked at that, go, yeah, that's a nice look. And then, as you know, then there's the enthusiasm piece, which enthusiasm includes your intuition and taking action. Like when you're enthused, there's nothing to stop you from like, what do I need to do? What can I do? Let's get going. Let's make it happen. Right? So let go of being a victim. And the one way you let go of being a victim is stop blaming other people, even yourself. Stop blaming outside of yourself. And I actually had a young boy. I used to work a lot with teenagers, and I had a young boy and discovered that he was not only suicidal, he had a plan. And so, yes. And so I sat down with him and I said, everything. So I'm taking all my victim things. I had my traumas in my teen years. I had all these things. I sat down with him and I stopped blaming all of that in that moment. And I sat down with him and I said, you know what? My blessing right now is that everything in my life has brought me to this moment to be with you.
Interesting.
Yeah. And if I would have kept blaming, I would have gone right down the road with him and jumped in front of the car, right?
Oh. Well, would you share some of the tools in the miracle manifesting process that you use?
Yeah. So one of the things I really help people do is pay attention. This is the number one key tool. Pay attention to your thinking. Now, people say, oh, I know what I'm thinking. No, you don't. You don't notice what you're thinking. So one of the tools I tell people is set a timer in your in your smartphone for like 3 times a day to go off to remind you to stop right now and what am I thinking? And it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, right? It starts developing the muscle of being able to think your own thoughts. Did you know that 90% of our thoughts are recycled? They are status quo beliefs that got programmed into us. You know, I don't know if you know who Bruce Lipton is, but he says, and this is psychology too, that the first 7 years of our lives, we are just like a recorder. We take it in, we believe it. We take it in, we believe it. Now, through our teen years and stuff, we start questioning that. But it isn't until we develop our frontal lobe that we, if we're wise enough, or if you have coaching around this, that people can say, you know what, you have all of these beliefs that your parents programmed into you that you got from this or that. And you now have a developed frontal lobe that helps you make decisions. And when it does that, you can decide something new. But people still think it's true. So if you start exercising, what are my thoughts? And exercise that brain, you could start observing, whose thought was that? Or even bypass that and say, is that what I want to be thinking? Or is that true? I mean, there's so much connection now between the supernatural and science that now we understand how powerful this thought process that we do actually creates our experience.
Well, I know I've done an intuitive wisdom drawing session with you. Can you tell our listeners how you discovered that approach and what it really entails?
Yeah, so I am trained as an art therapist, and I really learned a lot of this concept in art therapy, which is that our subconscious lives below our conscious thinking. And I often think of it like an iceberg. So at the top of the iceberg, the top part that you can see is your conscious awareness, your conditions and circumstances. It's the balance in your checkbook. It's the relationship that you have. It's all of the things on the conscious level. But what drives what happens on that conscious level is what's below in your subconscious. And most of us don't realize that. And that's why I, first of all, have people start exercising their brain to begin thinking and making changes to what's running them without them even knowing it. So in the drawing process, what I do is, and it's an intuitive thing for me. Can I share with you how I discovered this process? So it was the beginning of the pandemic, right? And I said, wow, what am I going to do in this next 3 months? Right? We thought it was going to last 3 months. That we were shut down for 3 months. Well, one thing I said is I'm going to write a book, and I did. And it's called Beyond the Box. And the second thing I did is I said, you know, I teach people how to find their masterpiece. And I still feel that I have a lot of pieces to my mastery, to my masterpiece. I want to really discover the key to that. So I actually went on a 3-day ceremony with somebody guiding me. And every day after the ceremony, I would come home and do my little sketches. I have been doing this for years. I have been drawing my own after my meditations for years and looking at them for insights. I've gone into other people's healing circles as a participant, but I draw other people's things and show it to them. And they say, oh my gosh, I get it. I see now, right? And so after the 3rd day of this ceremony, like I needed 3 days, right? I said, oh my gosh, I'm doing my drawing. I go, this is it. And not only that, I could do it on Zoom because we were in a pandemic. Because, I mean, where was the opportunity? Was I a victim? Here we go again to the pandemic. No, I'm going to suck the marrow out of the pandemic. What can I get from it? How can I glean from it, right? And so then I did these, and how they start is that I actually do a scribble, and the scribble is unrecognizable, and the client is not looking at the image yet. I'm doing this on my own, and I scribble the image, and it looks like something's going to appear from that. And as I do that, I listen to what they want. Maybe they want a deeper relationship with their partner. Maybe they have some things underneath them that they think are key elements, and how do they bring that into the world and so forth. And so as I'm listening to this, I'm looking at the drawing, they're looking at the drawing, and things emerge that look like they are healing that experience, and that they are getting their wisdom. And oftentimes I'll take a key component of that and I will do a second drawing to work on a specific thing. And it often brings into an awareness the idea of maybe two parts of life coming together. And then what do we do with that instead of blaming what was, and this was a situation with a client, she was blaming that the old part of her life was not supporting her. She had been a victim for 30 years, right? And instead of getting rid of that, we blended that, and then we added love. Now, that woman had this trauma, this victimhood for 30 years. And she did not know how to unlock it. Within one session, she goes, oh my gosh. And she sent me an email too. I feel so much lighter. I don't have that feeling anymore. I feel like I'm walking on air. I can't believe it. I've been wanting to live my life fully, and now I can. And then at the end of the call, she goes, I'm not sure I'm going to remember this. And I said, well, that's why the image is great. You get the image. And I also encourage people to continue the work, because it is repetition. We have to change this habit of your belief in your paradigms, and to do it repetitively in order to get it to become your new normal.
That's really interesting. I'm thinking particularly of women over 60 who are starting to seek a new identity as they're moving into potential retirement. So what have you seen as transformation, especially for women over 60 who are searching for that new identity?
Well, what happened with this woman who was over 60 was, she said, so then we go into the what would you love? And we don't just look at what would you like? What do you think you should do? Things like that. We really go into a place, and the image helps us bring that up to what would you really love? And through that discovery, she remembered, because we had additional sessions, oh, you know what? I wanted to write a book about this trauma that I had, because it'll help other people. Guess what she's doing right now?
Writing a book.
Working on the book. And we have another session next week, and she's got her things lined up that she's going to do, and she's going to check in. And like she said at the end, how am I going to remember this? When we get back on, it's like, remember this truth. So what you are meant to do. And okay, let me first talk about the over 60 part of our lives. So even in psychology, they say the first part of your life is learning. The second part of your life is building. The third part of your life is being. And how do you serve through being? Then people look at you and they go, oh my gosh, they're living the life I want to live. And so you don't have to recreate anything. You don't have to do anything new except for let go of your old paradigms. And then, and you don't have to let them go. Guess what? I tell people, don't let go of those paradigms. They are sticking around because they still have something to teach you. And once you discover what that is they're trying to teach you, they never go away. They're your friend, and they support you in that, in taking the steps in that direction. So for women over 60, it's to look at what have I done and bless that, and then say, now, how do I want to be? How do I want to be? I want to be in joy. And what brings me joy? Well, traveling. So how can I travel? Well, I did that. And how do I travel? I take people on travel trips for transformation. And I travel in a very different way than other people travel. I travel slowly. I engage with the local people. In fact, we have family in Italy. And so when we travel to Italy, they invite us into their home. They cook for us and with us. They show us what local people do, and they're beautiful. I mean, one of the things that's so beautiful in Italy is to promenade, right? Passeggiato, it's called in Italian, passeggiato. And they go and walk along the promenade in front of the ocean, because where we go is right on the seaside. And, it's with the family. I have just so much fun pictures of me promenading down with my husband's family and then other people. And it's just like joyous. Like, so where is your joy? I was talking to another woman and she says, I'm retiring. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my life. So what do you love? She says, I read fictions. And I said, you ever heard of those cruises and things you can go on that are detective shows? She goes, oh my gosh, I would love to do that. Right? So the keys are in there. One of the things I'm trying to say is you have everything inside of you by now that is needed for you to express your magnificence, your masterpiece in your next act. And it's not hard, and it's not effort, and it's not doing.
I've certainly heard everything you need is within you now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And where do you find the access to that? For me, what I know, and you can call it anything you want. You can call it universe. You can call it Buddha. For me, it's knowing that the divine, that's my word, goddess, whatever, universe. I look up because I actually have a universe on my ceiling up here. Is all available to us. All of it is available to us. And can the divine be in lack? No. And we are here to bring we are the creativity of the divine. And why would the divine want us to struggle, to work hard, to be unhappy? I always say that's kind of dissing the divine. Don't diss the divine, right? So that means live that joy, live that creativity. And I'll tell you, one of the ways to remember to be in that is to be in gratitude for everything that you have. And then to be in gratitude. Just be in gratitude. You don't even know what. You don't need to know. It's like, oh my gosh, did you wake up this morning? Did something breathe you this morning? Did you get to go out and work in your garden? Did you get to go? I leave on Wednesday for a trip to Phoenix to go to spring training with my husband and my son and his wife. It's like, and to go to national parks and to chill out, how wonderful. And then April 22nd, I leave for Italy. Well, actually, we're stopping in Lisbon first. Portugal has always been on my bucket list, right? I've been to over 35 countries and not to Spain or Portugal. And this trip, we're making it. And I'm guiding people that wanted to go to these places. And we will start in Italy. So I will meet my group in Italy and then travel with them.
That's such fun. And I love Portugal. I think that's probably my favorite of all the countries that I've been to in that area.
We're thinking about going there for a couple of months someday. My husband's getting ready to retire. So we're that's a little bit of our going to Portugal too. Like when the client said they wanted to go to Portugal, I'm like, right on. Found the cutest little place to stay down in the south of Portugal. It's little cabanas and $50 a night per person. It's like.
Now, Christi, you've talked about the rhythm of your life. What is the rhythm of your life? And how could that help you achieve the life that you really would love to live?
So everybody has a different rhythm. And the rhythm is within you. So first of all, you have to discover your rhythm. And one of the ways that I did that was actually in somebody kind of helping me discover my power animal, through the Native American tradition. And it was really a surprise to me when I saw that, because, you think you're looking for a Native American animal, and a cheetah appeared in my imagination. And I actually kept saying, no, 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 and looking up because I thought for sure it was a hawk or an eagle, right? And finally, actually, four different directions, four cheetahs in my imagination and my dream world or whatever, they were stalking me from all four directions. And finally, I'm like, okay, I get it. So what did I learn from cheetahs? And this is how you can look at life. What attracts you? You can look at your favorite animal. Like whenever I see a deer, I say, oh, a prayer from God. That's just my signal. That's what it feels like when I see a deer. So then I'm going to accept it as a prayer from God. Butterflies behind me, transformation and freedom, right? So what I learned from cheetahs were a couple of things. One is that I was just beginning to work with teenagers at the time. And I studied, so since it wasn't in any of the Native American books, I went to, back then, the encyclopedia.
I remember those.
Right. And I looked up cheetah and I learned about how cheetah mothers raise their cubs. The first ones come into life as needing everything given to them. So she goes out and hunts and she brings the food to them. The next phase of life is that she sends them out to play with rabbits and little small games that, so they're practicing, but she gives them some of those freedoms. And then the next are the hunters, and they go out, and she usually has, or often has, 3 sets of cubs with her at a given time. But the older ones, and then year 4, they usually go out on their own. And these now at the 3rd level bring home the game. So now they're able to go out in their own life. So how does that relate to me? Well, I was going to do my first group with teens, and they were. I didn't get the young group, the middle group, or the older group. I got a mixed group. I'm like, what am I going to do with these? And I looked and the cheetah. So I said, play, and we're going to feed you everything. We're going to tell you whatever it is, we had packets and things, we're going to give it to you. Then the middle ones, I said, and you get to play with giving them some of that information. And then I said, and for you guys, you get to tell them and provide for them how it's worked in your life, how it does, and they were the 3 different levels. And that was the most exciting, powerful moment, one of them, in my life. Right. And then the second thing, so to go back to rhythm, I learned that I was a sprint and rest kind of person. That's what cheetahs do. And I also saw it in my dad, and I didn't realize it actually until I saw this energy. He would go, 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 go. He would hit his bed and stay in for like 3 days in his older life, right? And he would rejuvenate, and he would, he's just like, and I went, oh, that's that energy, right? So sprint and rest. Well, as I got into my almost 60s, I started going, yeah, this is really exhausting. Isn't there another way to do this, right? So I went on a retreat with some of my favorite teachers and mentors, and it was in Hawaii, and it happened to be over the 4th of July, and they ended up having Turtle Independence Day. So they were raising turtles that were endangered. And then on this day, they didn't want to celebrate the American Independence Day, right? So they made this Turtle Independence Day, and they let them out into the ocean. And I watched how they each reacted differently. Some of them went for it. Some of them put their head above and looked around. Then they went for it. Others actually turned around and came back, But what I got from that was actually grandmother turtle. I really thought, because I'd actually, on our honeymoon, we had gone to Australia and seen the sea turtles and their sea eggs, their turtle eggs and things like that. And what the grandmother sea turtle does is she pulls and glides. She pulls and glides. And I went, I want to adopt that. I want to change. Well, the cheetah wouldn't let go of me fully. But I can call upon that new rhythm to pull and glide. And so we get to choose, and it doesn't have to be through power animals or anything like that, but we can ask, what is my rhythm? And let's make sure that it includes self-care. Because a lot of people are the go, 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 collapse and die. And especially in our later years, in our next act, we want it to be the beingness. How can you be? How can you sit and be the example? What is the example of living the good life that you want others to look at you and see and say, yes, I can have that?
That's interesting. You know, I wonder, Christi, if you have an offer that you could give to our listeners to really experience discovering what might be in the way to their success.
Oh, absolutely. So I do an intro to my intuitive wisdom drawing sessions. And what it is, it's a 30-minute intro session, and I help you discover what might be in the way during that session. And then I can tell you about the, going on in that work or the miracle work or whatever it is. So it's you go to masteringtheartoflife.com/get IWD intro. And then when you go to that, that's a $97 offer that I make. But because you came here through this format, I'm going to give it to you for $27. So when you get to the part where it says redeem offer, redeem coupon, put in intro 27, no spaces, capitalization doesn't matter. Intro 27, and that will get you, when you go to checkout, you'll see it's $27, and we will spend 30 minutes together, first of all, discovering what might be in your way. Now, guess what? I don't have your answers. When I do these drawings, I do not have other people's answers. This is my intuition connecting with your intuition and you looking at this, because what the image does is it brings the subconscious to the surface so that you can discover what it is and heal it. That's not my work. My work is the vehicle.
So why don't you give us that URL again?
Okay, it's masteringtheartoflife.com / get IWD intro, INTRO, and that's the IWD, that's get IWD intro. And then the coupon is intro 27.
Okay, great. Well, I think people can really get a lot out of that if they can just connect with you a little bit and then find out all the other things that you do as well. So, Christi, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Well, we all came here to bring our masterpiece into the world, and our discontent and our longing is because we are still here to do that. And so I hope you find what that masterpiece is you came to do and satisfy that longing and that discontent.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It was really awesome.